Hey, what's up? It's John Samuel, and welcome to All Access Live. And today we have two very special guests. We actually have the two hardest working people in Raleigh right now. We got S.A. Corrin and we got Julie Brakenbury, who are part of the host committee for the LEAD conference, which is coming to Raleigh next week. And that's the Leadership Exchange and Arts and Disabilities Conference that's presented by the Kennedy Center. And we are so excited in the city of Raleigh to be hosting them. And these are the two people who are really doing that heavy lift. So welcome.
Oh, thanks for having us, John. It's a real pleasure. I don't know if we're really the hardest working people in the world.
I think so, because y'all have been doing so much. And so for folks, Julie decided that she wanted to give everyone the same experience that I have when I look at a computer screen. And so she's going dark mode today. So with that said, we are going to ask Julie, can you do a description, and then SA, you'll do it, and then I'll do it. Is that cool? We've never done this before on this show.
Sure. So for the people that I don't know, I'm a really tall person, 5'3", all full 5'3" of me. I am Caucasian. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I have short blonde hair, and I still have most of it, even though we're at the week before LEAD. So it's exciting to be here with you today, John, and thanks for including SA and me.
Thanks, Julie. And SA, could
Hey
you just...
everybody, I'm S.A. Corrin. I'm a middle-aged mixed-race woman with long brown hair, and I'm beaming in from my office in downtown Raleigh. I wear glasses, and my pronouns are she, her, hers.
Awesome. Thank you, SA. And I am Indian descent. I have black hair, and I am wearing a white shirt. And my old friend and my old producer, my friend Sharon Delaney McLeod, always said, "Don't wear white when you're on camera." And I am doing the complete opposite today. So, but I'm super excited to be here with both of you. And as we talked about, the LEAD conference, a couple of weeks ago, I think maybe a month ago or a month and a half ago, we had Betty Siegel who was on talking about the LEAD conference and everything going on with it. And so, it's really exciting. We've been waiting over 2 years for this event coming here next week. But, I want to start with SA. You, if I'm not mistaken, you were one of the very first people to go to the first LEAD conference. Is that correct? Am I correct in that assumption?
Yeah, the very first LEAD conference was actually not a LEAD conference. Betty Siegel had just gotten hired by the Kennedy Center in like the late 1990s. And basically she called all her friends across the country and finagled us to show up at the Kennedy Center. She locked us in a room for 3 days with a bunch of flip charts and grilled us about accessibility. So it was really out of all of those conversations that the LEAD conference was born, like the next year or 2 years down the road. So yeah.
She shared that same story, but she did promise that she did feed you all.
Yeah, I should. Yes, I should fess up. But she promised us, she was like, "I can't pay you, but I can feed you really well." And she did. She did. It was definitely worth being locked in a windowless room for 3 days and talking. And everybody was great. There were really people from across the country with such a great range of experience and perspectives. So I felt really fortunate to be there.
No, it's really exciting to be, you were at the foundational component of something that has grown from 25 people in a locked room to, what the current count is it's 700 and counting, right?
Yes, yeah.
So, that's super exciting to be there. And, Julie, you've had a career in working at Visit Raleigh and different things. And so for you, hosting these type of events is nothing new. So how is it to be preparing for LEAD? What is your tie to the arts community, and what does this mean to you?
I think for me, it's become more of a process of growth
Mhm.
Frankly, you think you know everything there is to know about hosting events when you've been in the industry for a number of years, and then you do something like this, and you realize that you're still learning right along with everyone else. But it's exciting to be a part of that process because I believe it's opening us up. And when I say us, Raleigh and Wake County, it's opening us up to be a destination that is accessible in ways other destinations may not yet be.
Yeah.
It gives us a marketing edge too for the future. But it's exciting to know that all of the work that Raleigh Arts has been engaged in, and a lot of the arts organizations and arts partners through the years have been engaged in, is coming to fruition in this way. It gives us a vantage point for showing the world what we know and what we can do, the quality of our arts groups. It's just been amazing to watch it all come together.
Yeah.
It's been
I,
amazing to work with SA too.
no, it's super cool because I mean, there's a couple things that you just mentioned. Something that got me really excited about Lead coming to Raleigh was I saw this event as a catalyst for change for the city of Raleigh to really embrace accessibility and you know and to show the rest of the world that Raleigh is the premier destination for accessible events and conferences. And but you talk about it, the city of Raleigh Arts and all the different arts organizations that we have here in our the rich tapestry of the arts in Raleigh. The one thing that I noticed from the very beginning when I came back 5 years ago was the arts community's embrace of accessibility. And so SA, you've been at the foundation of this as well. And so what have you seen? Where has the arts in Raleigh kind of, how have they embraced accessibility over the last several years?
I mean, I think it's been amazing, and really, you're right. I can go back 30 years to when I first started working at Raleigh Little Theater, and I that I started the year after the ADA was passed.
Yeah.
And so none of us knew what we were doing. But the amazing thing is that the Raleigh Arts Commission by that time had already built and spun off Arts Access. So in Raleigh, we've been really fortunate. We have an arts service organization that's dedicated to training and supporting arts organizations, and now has branched into supporting and growing the disabled artists community as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of what has given Raleigh a really strong foundation, head start compared to some other municipalities across the country. But I will say I completely agree with you that when the arts organizations in town have been given the opportunities to improve the inclusion of folks with disabilities in their programs, both as audience members, but also as artists and staff members, they have done it with open arms. Sometimes you talk to folks in different industries about engaging folks with disabilities, and they get really standoffish. But that just does not happen in the arts community. And I think folks see it, to a point I think you made earlier before we came on air, that folks in the arts are creative problem solvers.
Yes.
A lot of living with a disability is about creative problem solving, and so it's really a perfect match.
You're so right. And you're right. I think people in the arts, and people with disabilities, this problem solving is just, it's in our DNA, and that's what we have to do. And so and Julie, you being part of Visit Raleigh, I'm sure you've seen your share of problems and even just access issues. And so I'd love to get even your own thoughts and things that you've experienced where accessibility just wasn't embraced the way it should have been, and the challenges and how you've had to overcome those, like to get people buy in. Like, what have you had to experience in your own career?
I think that the biggest struggle that there is within the events industry, and this isn't all events, because some events have done a super job of
Yeah.
creating accessibility. We host IBMA, the International Bluegrass
Oh, yes.
Music Association here, and some of our friends, Jamie Katz-Court and Courtney
Rockstar.
and David
Yeah.
Broder and all the people from Pinecone and Visit Raleigh and the city of Raleigh have come together to do this amazing event annually, and they've done a great job with accessibility. But there's other events that have shied away from it. And I think part of it is because they either don't understand the need, John, or they think it's too hard to do it. And
Yes.
really, once you start to embrace the fact that any event should be accessible for anyone who wants to come, then you start to think about it differently and what your role as a planner organizer, or event professional even is. It I would like to say that all events have that desire to do it, but I know they don't. So that's again one reason why I'm excited that LEAD is here, because it allows us to tell the story. It gets us great visibility. I mean,
Yeah.
we know the Leadership Exchange for Arts and Disability is a program of the Kennedy Center. Who isn't interested in what the Kennedy Center does and what they're about? So it gives us such a fine showcase. But I think that one of the bigger struggles is too that people think that there isn't an attendee out there. If they didn't already know that person, they
Yeah.
think there aren't attendees out there who want to come to their event who have accessibility issues and may not be coming. And I may not have said that exactly the right way, but I often think about if somebody does a webinar and they don't let the attendees know in advance that captioning is available, then maybe someone who needs captioning doesn't realize that they can fully participate. So when planner organizers tell me that, we don't have people who come who have disabilities who might need access accommodations, I've gone, you haven't asked them yet.
Yeah.
It's simply a matter of asking. There are many ways to do it and make it possible. And a lot of them are not costly. They're just very simple things that can be done to make events accessible. So that was probably a longer answer than you wanted, but I feel within all my being that there really is more of a need to create awareness within the events industry related to accessibility.
No, but I think that answer kind of it encompasses a lot of things, because you do talk about the cost of accommodations. People, that misconception that it's so expensive to
Yeah.
make an accommodate people with disabilities event. It's not, it's
Mhm.
some of the smallest things, like whether being just providing a sighted guide. And that's something that Pinecone and Jamie Kett's course has done an amazing job of
Right.
being
Mhm.
able to train volunteers to be able to, if a blind individual comes, how do you navigate with them? How do you get them from point A to point B? Small things like that, right? It's just part of, you're
Mhm.
already training your volunteers. It's just adding another 5 minutes of training. And so, I think Pinecone has done a great job of that, right, by providing that training. But the other great thing, kind of talking about how you talked about, if you don't know what accommodations or what accessibility features are available, no one's going to know. And I think that's another thing that Pinecone has done a great job is, especially with the Bluegrass Festival, they actually do a great job of outreach to the disability community, whether it be communicating through the Raleigh Mayor's Committee or reaching directly to people like myself, for me to then spread the word about what's available. And I think that's something that is really done well for the Bluegrass Festival. And so,
Mhm.
Essay, when you think about that, like, how do you think the arts are doing in general? Because I know that you and I have that tie-in with the Raleigh Little Theater. That's where you got started, and
Right.
that was actually my very first like accessibility project. All I think I may have mentioned to you in the past. I just typed in Raleigh accessibility, and the first thing that popped up was the sensory-friendly shows that the Raleigh Little Theater
Right.
puts on, and
Right.
that was my introduction to how the arts were being inclusive in Raleigh. But how do you think the arts in Raleigh right now? How do you think they're doing a good job of outreach to the disability community to let them know what's available?
Sure. I mean, I think when you're talking about engaging folks with disabilities, you're talking about targeted marketing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, um, a lot of the organizations are building a base, but it takes time because you garner customers one or two or three at a time, and then if you do well by them, you get word of mouth, which is really the best thing of all. And so when you're talking about an organization like Pinecone, they've been doing IBMA for a while now, and so they have a well-oiled machine. And I think Raleigh Little Theater has built some really strong relationships with folks who are neurodiverse.
Yeah.
I think you can also see the same thing happen at Marvel's Kids Museum, And then Art Space is really building a strong reputation with disabled visual artists through their Universal Access Artist Residency that they've been doing annually. And the fact that, not only do they make their exhibitions accessible by adding things like audio descriptions and braille gallery guides, but they actually exhibit the work of artists with disabilities, which is a whole other, level of engagement and is super important. And that's one of the nice things I've seen happen over the past 7 years. A lot of the organizations that started off really focusing on inclusion and belonging from, the passive audience perspective, once they feel like they have that under their belt, they're like, well, heck, folks with disabilities are awesome. They should be on stage. They should be, displaying artwork and all of that. So there's a great progression that happens.
Yeah, I think that is the coolest thing, right? That we're seeing artists with disabilities on stage. We're seeing their arts. I think right now, isn't in the convention center, isn't the artwork around, aren't they artists with disabilities? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So during the LEAD conference, there are actually 4 different visual art exhibitions that solely highlight the work of disabled artists. So Art Space has their Universal Artist in Residency exhibition. The Raleigh is actually showcasing an exhibition called Emerge, which is the Kennedy Center's BSA International's Emerging Artist exhibition. So that's young artists ages 15 to 25 from across the country whose work is being exhibited. And then you have a special exhibition both at the Raleigh Convention Center, but also at the City of Raleigh's Block Gallery. Both of those exhibitions highlight the work of disabled artists who are local to the Triangle. So yeah, all of the visual art that's on display is folks with disabilities. And what's important about that is it not just that folks have, cognitive disabilities or physical disabilities, is that you're getting the perspective of lived experience,
Yes.
which is special and unique to these communities. And so on one hand, it's awesome to have an actor with a disability performing Shakespeare. There's, some recent stuff in the New York Times about Richard III and whether or not it should be an actor with disabilities. And, there's some deep conversations to be had about that. But to actually be able to do work that represents your lived experience, that's, if it's a theater production, that it's by a playwright with a disability, that is directed by somebody with disability, that's the next level as far as I'm concerned. And I think, a lot of the reason that I do this work is because I really enjoy disability art.
Yeah.
And so if I do this work, then I get to enjoy that even more. So,
That's a win-win.
Being nice, being really focused when I do this stuff.
Yeah. Julie, like in your past, have you had experience with, arts and disabilities, or is this all new to you?
Well, I will say that my experience with Raleigh Arts goes back years beyond now. As part of the Arts Grants panel, SA recruited me to that, representing Visit Raleigh at that time, and it was a powerful learning experience for me to participate in that, because organizations that apply for grant money through the City of Raleigh and Raleigh Arts have to show what they're doing in the way of accessibility. And I believe it was at that time, and then also in I believe it was one of the Universal Arts Learning Days that SA coordinated, Betty Siegel came to speak. And I've told Betty, she forever changed my world and my life and how I think about any event or any art experience. So for me, it's been an amazing process starting way back then and then to be involved with the LEAD conference in this way. I think that there's the other part of me having been involved with events so many years that understands the significance of how we market for those events.
Yeah.
And SA has been awesome to be able to engage me and I say let me, invite me to be involved in the way that I am to help with the marketing efforts for this, because it's important that events are accessible, but that you market them with accessibility in mind, and not all people or not all organizations who do events understand that. So, I'll give a shout out to your company and the training that we've engaged in and been able to invite the arts groups here to participate in has been really amazing to really connect the dots for that process, because it starts back with the marketing of it.
Yeah.
Someone with a disability cannot fully understand what an event is about if they can't see and you've not marketed the event with that knowledge and with special, skills that you've applied to the marketing process. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think
It's a
that intentionality, right? Yes.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So I think that's been a big thing for me to be involved in that way.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, I know our team is just, loved, being able to share and pass on that knowledge because, it's one thing to do it for people, but yeah, we find more benefit and enjoyment in being able to teach other people, right? Teaching people that, that making accessible content isn't that, with the right things, you can do it. It's nothing that's rocket science and you can do it. And by teaching people, that's something we're really excited. But I do have to give a shout out to Betty. She's so fun. So I get it. When you say she changed your life, she is so much fun and just like she's so funny and it's just such a nice person. And I've had so many just great times just talking to her and excited to meet her in person for the first time next week. Because as you talk about, I think I may have mentioned to both of y'all, I went to George Washington University for grad school, and my apartment, the balcony of my apartment, overlooked the Kennedy Center. And so, with my limited sight, all I saw was the lights that kind of shine up. If you know what it looks like, it shines up on the building. And but I think they have like this, like every day around 5 o'clock, they have like some type of free happy hour for like whatever show is going on. They give you like I forget what it's called, like the Millennium Stage or something. All right, is that what it's called? It's like yeah,
Stage.
and so you get to go there, and it's like they give you kind of a free preview. And I remember, and I don't know if it was in October or if it was in July but they had artists with disabilities there, and they had this comedian who was performing, and I remember going there, and it was the first time I was ever offered like audio description. And when you talk about things that change your life, for me, that was my first exposure to an inclusive experience that was out there. I didn't know about that. And so I think that as you kind of going back to one of the common themes we talked about is like, if you don't know what's available, you don't know if it's meant for you. And for me, I was I was hiding. I was in the closet about being blind. I didn't want people to know, and to kind of, that was my tie to the Kennedy Center, and it made me feel like I belonged there, and I was able to attend. So that's where my excitement and love comes for this. And so, as we kind of wrap up, I know we've had some really good chats here, but Essay, I know you've been to several, of these events over the last 20 years, but like, what do you look forward to most about LEAD?
Oh, wow. That's a tough question because there's so much great stuff, but I think in a nutshell, one, it literally draws people doing inclusion work from across the country, and it draws people from outside the country. So you get to engage with people who are phenomenally talented and super smart when it comes to this stuff. And one of the nice things about LEAD is that everybody who's been doing it for like 40 or 50 years will just stop and talk to you and answer any question you have, no matter how off the wall, and be happy to do it. So if you're new to this kind of work, it's a great experience because you can get so much information. And when you're a newbie, you're always worried about asking that stupid question. And really, even if it's stupid, which really there are no stupid questions, like people will just stop and answer you, and they won't judge you for not knowing things. But then by the same token, for the folks that have been doing this work for decades, there are other people that are so experienced. And so you can have these great, deep, complex conversations about trends and innovations in the field and get different perspectives and takes on stuff, which is also great. So I think it's an amazing conference because everybody's very serious about accessibility and yet at the same time really not serious about anything else. So
Yeah.
so do I. And you have a good time, which
Yeah.
is something that is hard to come by in this world, I will say.
No, that's exciting. I mean, I love the fact that how you talk about it, that, accessibility is a journey, right? And so there's people at different stages of it. And I love the fact that, for those newbies, this is a great starting point. For
Right.
those who are a little bit further along, you have people that you can chat with at that advanced level. And so I think that's a good sign of a good conference, because sometimes you go to a conference and it's like, it's it's all starting only at the newbie level, or it's only at a
Right.
way high level. And so people have that level. That's super cool, super exciting. And so, Julie, is it your first lead conference though?
No, actually, I was able to attend LEAD in Denver in 2019 when I was with Visit Raleigh, but when we thought LEAD was going to be here in 2020. And of course,
Yeah.
we know what happened then.
Yes.
So I've been able to attend, and I have to say, even for that one experience, combined with the experience of working with the Kennedy Center staff now and the different art partners, but you have fun. It's engaging in such a way that you have fun too while you're learning. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited it's finally here,
Yes.
but there's so many elements and so many partners that are involved in this. With the arts groups, but City of Raleigh and Visit Raleigh and Downtown Raleigh Alliance, that it's creating this wonderful energy for the community around the arts and accessibilities. And what a wonderful opportunity that is.
No, that's awesome. I just want to thank you both personally for just really kind of driving that partnership, bringing all these organizations and including us, an Abler team, as part of this as well. I'm just so thankful, and thank you for both your leadership and your just commitment to this important topic. And I can't wait to see you both next week.
Yeah.
So,
Thank
It'll be fun.
now thank you again for taking the time. And is it too late to sign up? Is registration done?
They will take walk-ups. So if somebody wakes up on Wednesday morning and they want to come, then come on by the convention center and you can register.
All right, walk-ups welcome. So everyone is welcome. See, this is just like the disability community. Everyone's welcome. You can anytime you can become part of our community. So so this is so exciting. So thank you both again for attending. I gotta give a shout out to our producer Annie. Thank you, Annie, as always, and thank you all for participating and watching. And we will see you next time.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.